Nick Newman stood in the dim glow of his office, the city lights outside reflecting in the glass like distant warning flares. His jaw was tight, the kind of tight that meant someone was about to regret breathing. "Not this time," he muttered. Matt Clark had returned again, like mold, like a bad sequel nobody asked for, and Nick was done. Across town, Audra Charles was moving with purpose. Sally Spectra stood near the bar at Society, tension written all over her face as she scrolled through her phone. She looked like someone about to jump without checking how far the drop was. Audra saw it instantly. "Sally," she called sharply. Sally looked up startled. "I was just about to make a mistake," Audra cut in smoothly, stepping closer, "and not a small one." Sally hesitated. She had been seconds away from sending a message that would have reopened doors better left welded shut. Billy Abbott had a way of pulling her back into emotional quicksand, and tonight she'd almost stepped right in. Audra's voice softened just enough. "You deserve forward, not familiar." Sally exhaled slowly. "I don't even know why I keep." "Because you care," Audra finished, "and because he knows exactly which version of you to reach." Sally stared at her phone, then she deleted the message. The relief was visible. Audra allowed herself a quiet smile. Spectra Charles wasn't just a business dream, it was power, reinvention, and she wasn't about to let old flames burn down their future. Later that evening, in the privacy of her suite, Audra replayed something else entirely. Chelsea Lawson and Adam Newman. Too polite, too coordinated, too interested. It had the scent of a setup. Adam didn't do kindness without angles. Chelsea didn't circle back without motive. Audra could feel the net being woven, and she'd been caught in enough traps to recognize the pattern. "If you're setting one," she murmured to herself, "you better make sure it's flawless." Because she didn't lose. Meanwhile, Nick met Victoria in the shadows of the Newman Ranch stables. The conversation was low and urgent. "He's escalating," Nick said. "The messages, the games." Victoria's expression was ice. "Then we escalate back." They had a plan, a controlled trap, something designed to flush Matt out into the open. But Matt Clark was not a man who walked into cages, he built them. That night, Sharon Newman received another message. No number, no signature. Just tick-tock. Her hands trembled. At the same time, Noah Newman and Sienna Bacall sat in her apartment, lights dimmed, curtains drawn. The fear in the room was thick enough to choke on. "He won't stop," Sienna whispered. Noah reached for her hand. "He doesn't win." But his voice lacked conviction. Across town, Matt Clark watched surveillance footage with clinical detachment. Screens glowed around him like a twisted command center. "They think they're hunting me," he said calmly. "That's adorable." He already knew about Nick's trap, knew about Victoria's involvement. He'd planted misinformation weeks ago just to see who would bite. Nick had bitten hard. Matt typed another message. This one was scheduled. Elsewhere, Claire Newman stood in her apartment, staring at Holden Novick's last text. He'd withheld information about Lowe's angels, about Audra, about something that clearly mattered. Claire had dumped him for it. But the obsession hadn't faded. An art dealer, a disappearance, whispers that something fatal had happened, and Audra always near the center of the storm. Claire wanted proof. And if Holden wouldn't give it to her, she'd find another way. She picked up her phone and hesitated before dialing Kyle Abbott. When he answered, there was a pause thick with history. "Claire, I need your help." Kyle was silent for a beat. "Is this about Audra?" "Yes." That was all it took. Back at Society, Sally and Audra were reviewing business projections, numbers, launch strategies, brand positioning. Normal. Almost peaceful. Then Sally's phone buzzed. Her color drained instantly. Audra noticed. "What is it?" Sally turned the screen around. An email anonymous. Subject line, you almost ruined everything. Audra's eyes narrowed. Delete it. But, delete it. Sally obeyed. Audra leaned back, analyzing. The timing was deliberate. Someone was stirring fear. Chelsea, Adam, or someone else entirely. In another corner of Genoa City, Nick stood alone again, this time staring at a photograph of his family. He wasn't bluffing. I will end you, he said under his breath. His phone buzzed. Unknown numbers. He answered without hesitation. Silence. Then a distorted voice. You first. The line went dead. Nick's grip tightened. Matt Clark was not running. He was circling. And the game had only just begun. Nick didn't sleep. By morning, the Newman ranch felt less like home and more like a command center. Victoria stood across from him, arms crossed, both of them pretending this was strategic and not personal. He wants you angry, Victoria said. I am angry. Then you're playing his games. Nick didn't respond because she was right and because he didn't care. Across town, Sharon opened her front door to find nothing there. Nothing except a small box. No return address. Her breath caught as she carried it inside and slowly opened it. Inside was a broken watch. Stopped at 3:17. Her phone buzzed immediately after. Time runs out. Sharon felt the room tilt. Meanwhile, Noah and Sienna were packing a bag, not to run, just to be ready. That's what fear does. It makes you prepare for exits you hope you never use. Sienna's hands shook as she folded clothes. He's watching us. Noah forced steadiness into his voice, then let him watch. We're not alone. But they were tired of being targets in someone else's twisted performance. Matt Clark sat in a dimly lit warehouse watching feeds again. He adjusted one camera slightly, smiling as Nick appeared on another screen. So predictable, Matt murmured. Nick thought he was setting the trap that afternoon. The bait was information leaked through controlled channels, a fake meeting, a staged opportunity. Nick positioned himself exactly where he knew Matt would be tempted to strike. Victoria was nearby, Sharon was looped in. They were ready. Or so they believed. The moment came quickly. A shadow moved. Nick lunged. But the figure was Matt. It was a hired distraction, someone paid to run, to mislead, to waste precious minutes. By the time Nick realized it, his phone vibrated. Another message. Wrong place. At the same moment, Sharon screamed. Back at her house, a window shattered. Matt hadn't gone to Nick. He'd gone to her. By the time Nick reached Sharon's home, police lights were flashing. The damage was controlled, no one physically hurt, but the message was clear. Matt could reach anyone's. Anytime. Nick's anger shifted, it hardened, became something colder. This ends now, he told Victoria. Elsewhere, Audra met Chelsea and Adam at Crimson Lights. The tension could have been bottled and sold. You've been busy, Chelsea said lightly. Audra sipped her coffee. I always am. Adam leaned back. You've been asking questions. And you've been setting traps, Audra replied smoothly. There it was. Chelsea didn't deny it. We just don't like surprises. Audra smiled thinly, then stopped trying to surprise me. The message was mutual. Lines were drawn. Later, Sally stood outside Billy Abbott's place, staring at the door. Old feelings don't vanish, they linger, they tempt. Her phone buzzed. Audra forward, not familiar. Sally stared at the door one last time. Then she turned around and walked away. She chose the future. And in that moment, something shifted. Claire met Kyle at the Abbott mansion that evening. She didn't waste time. Lowe's angels, she said, you knew something. Kyle exhaled, I knew there were rumors, an art dealer, a fall, a cover-up. Accident, Claire asked. Maybe. But Audra was there. Yes. Claire paced, Holden protected her. Kyle studied her, what are you really after? The truth, Claire said, and if it exposes her, so be it. Kyle hesitated only briefly, then we dig carefully. Because Audra Charles was not someone you attacked without armor. Back in the warehouse, Matt watched the fallout with satisfaction. Chaos wasn't about explosions. It was about fear. He picked up his phone and recorded a voice message. This is the last act, Nick. He sent it. Nick received it alone. He listened twice. Then he did something reckless. He walked out without telling anyone where he was going. Victoria tried calling. No answer. Nick had figured something out. Not from Matt's clues. From his silence. Matt thrived on attention. But he'd gone quiet for exactly 30 minutes. That meant he was moving. Nick drove toward the old industrial district. He trusted instinct more than strategy now. Inside the warehouse, Matt heard the door creak open. He didn't turn immediately. It's about time, he said calmly. Nick stepped into the dim light. This ends tonight. Matt laughed softly, you've said that before. They circled each other like two men who understood this was no longer about threats, it was about finality. You ruin everything you touch, Nick said. And you protect everything you can't control, Matt replied. The fight was brutal and short. No speeches. No monologues. Just rage and desperation. Matt underestimated one thing. Nick wasn't trying to outsmart him anymore. He was trying to stop him. Police sirens grew louder outside. Victoria had tracked Nick's car. Matt realized too late. He wasn't escaping this time. As officers stormed in, Matt smiled at Nick through split lips. You'll miss me. No, Nick said flatly. Matt was dragged away in cuffs. For real. No distractions. No body doubles. Just cold metal and flashing lights. Back at the ranch later, Sharon stood close to Nick, her fear finally easing. No more games, she asked quietly. No more, Nick promised. Noah and Sienna clung to each other, the tension finally draining from their shoulders. Safety felt foreign but real. Across town, Sally and Audra finalized a new business pitch. A clean slate. Forward motion. Chelsea and Adam recalibrated quietly, they'd misjudged Audra's instincts. Claire and Kyle continued digging but carefully now. Because while Matt Clark's chaos had been contained, secrets in Lowe's angels still lingered. And Audra Charles was never as transparent as she appeared. Genoa City settled into a fragile calm. But calm in this town never lasted long. It simply waited.